Because why I show those things of vulnerability is actually not just look at me and I'm now in victim mentality. It's watch my bounce back rate. Watch my resilience and my grit and my tenacity, because ultimately I still am that boss powerhouse woman.
So excited to have you here because when was it? Was it at the start of this year that I DM'd you and was like, I need to speak to you. I need to have dinner with you and be around your presence and your aura. Was that at the start of this year?
I think so. It's been a wild ride since.
Oh
but yeah, I think you had originally DM'd me saying, would love to get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
And that was like nearly a year ago. So that's good. You've been pregnant. We've gone around the world.
Well, you're about to do a jet mastermind. So there's so much that I want to get into today, because when I first met you, I was like, far out, who is this woman? She is such a powerhouse. She is like emotionally authentic and vulnerable and raw, but she's also doing shit, and I love it. And so, you were the person I was like, she needs to be on Master of Achievement.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad we could make it happen.
So I mean, if anyone is following you on socials or anything, they probably already know your story because you are so authentic. I even knew what happened last night in your world.
Mm-hmm.
You had a masterclass or, that you did very late at night. But what is your story? Like, let's start there. And how has that formed the Mel Yu that is the powerhouse that is sitting here today?
Gosh, our lives are a sum of stories. And I think growing up, the foundations of not feeling like I belonged was really, really prominent. Yeah. And so we're obviously Asian immigrants here in a very predominantly Western society in Australia. And I find the more I speak to a lot of ABCs, Australian-born Chinese, we feel somewhat the same. And what I mean by that is I never felt Asian enough around Asian friends or community. And then I never felt white enough because, well, I'm not. And so it left me at a very young age where I was born to stand out simply based on the color of my skin. And as I grew up in a town called Patterson Lakes. It's a very Western community and society near Frankston.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah.
And back in the 90s, the Yus, my last name, we were one of the only Asian families around a very, very predominantly Western community. And so that led to early onsets of bullying. And like kids can you get it now and you look back and you're kind of like, oh yeah, it's just because I was different. But you were bullied for standing out. And even throughout high school, I feel a lot of us can resonate with, we just want to do everything to blend in. We don't actually want to stand out. We're like, what's the status quo? And let us just get by school and just survive school without really having to stand out. And then over time, though, I've realized that my superpower has actually been, I'm meant to stand out. I'm a little bit extroverted, little bit extroverted. Yeah. But I look different in rooms, and now I've really started to embody that. But I think the really early onset of recognizing that I was different started from there.
Yeah.
And then I became really fascinated about psychology. Psychology was something that I just had a natural knack for. And what I mean by that was always fascinated about relationships. Why are people the way that they are? I'd sit on trains and be very curious. I still do to this day. Like, what's their story? What's their lives? And I love people watching. I love traveling so much because I love exploring cultures and human relationships and just why people do the things that they do. And then that led to a career in psychology. And from there, how deep do we want to go? Like,
go deep. Because that's me.
That is who I am.
Exactly.
Exactly. But I thought, bit of bullying, bit of not belonging, my parents divorcing. These were all challenges and struggles that I had gone through, but nothing compared to losing my partner to suicide.
Yeah.
And Angus was 23 years old when he took his own life in our family home. I was living with him and we were together for the better of 6 years. And when anything like that happens, any sort of trauma, and whether that's domestic violence, abuse, drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, anything like that really does change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
And suicide, I say, the amount of advocacy I do is it's on the extreme pointy end of the end of life. And when that happened at 23 and I was like fascinated about relationships and psychology, this was a whole nother ball game. And it really forced me to ask, what is the meaning of life?
Yeah.
I did that really early on. And for that, I'm actually really grateful, because my thirst for life, or my desire to make such an impact and such a difference, really stemmed from rock bottom.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
stemmed from a pain that I never even knew existed. But having the right people around me, the right support system, and just the right mindset. I find a growth mindset, a mindset that's willing to learn and evolve. I've been able to turn that pain, and that's really become part of my medicine in healing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I would say, was the biggest fork in the road that's made Mel Yu the Mel Yu that she is today. And yeah, you can say arguably a lot of people, the consensus is, oh, you're a powerhouse and you just go get it. But if you look at every minute story that's happened to me, you would probably do the same.
Yeah.
Every single part of me that's gone through adversity and challenges and struggle, it's become a message that I hear going, well, I've got nothing to lose. I might as well swing this bat and swing it hard. I lost my dad to cancer, so I advocated for that for a bit. Just and it's constant, right? Relationships ending, infidelity came into my life, and I got cheated on, and that was very public in my social media and online audience. And so, yeah, I don't know anything else other than to be authentic and to take people on the journey with me. And as you mentioned, you saw what I did last night, because I'm documenting, not creating.
Yeah.
And for me, it's sustainable that way, because it's not an act, and everything happens kind of in real time as I process things. And everyone does it differently, but for me, that's what works.
I really love that you have such an authenticity, and the thing that you mentioned about growth mindset, I feel like there are so many people out there who can go through all of that, but really hard to make use of it somehow to create impact. Is that something that you've always had? Or do you think something clicked and you were like, no, I've got to turn this into something?
My
It's
passion,
easy to be a victim.
yeah, it is,
Yeah.
absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I think in those moments, were moments of victimhood. For sure. I don't think when he died and I was like, this is a moment to be grateful. Like,
Yeah.
it just wasn't the
Yeah.
case. And I had a chip on my shoulder, and I did hate the world, and I did ask questions of like, well, why me? That was something I really remember being like, God, why did you take this away from me? What did I do wrong? But sitting in that thought doesn't serve me or others.
Yeah.
And eventually the sun comes up and the day goes on, and every single time that sun comes up, you have a choice.
Yeah.
And you have a choice to either sit in it again and continue to make that part of your story, or you go, this does not define me. And for me, I chose the latter. I said, this is part of my journey, but this is not the end of Mel Yu. This is actually where things started. My identity really started and evolved from that.
Yeah.
But every single one of us, I do believe, have a choice. I think that there are a multitude of layers that could make things more challenging, say a duality around mental health as well as drugs and alcohol, and homelessness. Or if we add all these different layers, yes, it can have a tougher time to sort of like find that ride to resilience and strength. But if you have the right mindset, I think, yeah, there's lessons to be learned in everything.
And is that why your mission is so strong about leaving someone better off than how you originally found them?
That's my purpose, Steph.
That is your purpose.
Yeah. And for now, that purpose statement still rings true, is I want to leave people in a better place than when I found them. And whether that's a really small interaction like at the coffee shop, if it's a car pulling up next to me and it's a half smile, I just love to send love out there. And that is my energy. I'm not perfect. I'm human and I'm incredibly flawed, like all of us. But mastering, this podcast is called Master of Achievement. So I think mastering your emotions and mastering your purpose and level of conviction and self-awareness, that's what we're all here for.
And then bringing that into, because a lot of people struggle with this, a lot of the clients that I work with, right? When we have an idea, or we have a project or a business or a plan or whatever it is, and we all know that social media, it's used to amplify, but also sometimes you can get caught up in that trap of performing a version of yourself or showing up as a filtered version of yourself. But you're so inspiring in the sense, like, every time I see a story, like, you're just you, you're just you. Why you? Like, did that develop over time, or is that something that you've always had a knack for? Or, even I love that you're building a business, but you talk about the hardship of building a business, like literally the day to day of, I put this proposal in, it didn't go through. Like, I'm putting myself out there, it's freaking shit. Like, but this is the life of an entrepreneur. We chew glass every day and then we just wake up the next day and
like,
we
can I have some more of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if someone is stuck in that moment at the moment where they're like, well, I want to be authentic, but I also don't want to, I need to kind of look a certain way. I need to be like a boss bitch or whatever it is. Like, how have you been able to unpeel those layers back so comfortably?
Yeah, great question. I think true authenticity isn't an act. It's just being and doing. And if we turn back to that layer of stripping everything back to what is your authenticity, authenticity has no act. There is no performance. You just are. And a lot of us with social media, we understand the modality of it. And even me and my partner have these real conversations where he'll say, you shouldn't post stuff that's incredibly vulnerable because it's bad positioning. And he means well, because he's the number one supporter. He supports me through and through, and he's my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. But see how even someone can be like, if you're a CEO or if you're a director of a business and this is the position that you are, you have to be seen as leading. And it's bad positioning if you cry on social media or show weakness. Whereas because I do that authentic dance, I find that I am still that. Yeah. But I also can be this. Yeah. In moments. Because why I show those things of vulnerability is actually not just look at me and I'm now in victim mentality. It's watch my bounce back rate. Watch my resilience and my grit and my tenacity. Because ultimately I still am that boss powerhouse woman. She's not lost on me or others. But I find I'm able to share the duality of it because the authenticity just comes through. When you say she's just real, that is an energy exchange that's coming through my phone or the way that I'm delivering content through to my audience. And that is something I encourage everyone to really lean into, because when you're too PR'd, manufactured or like crafted, everything's put through a ChatGPT filter, and then you're starting to loan your voice to someone else. Yeah. And we're all starting to sound the same somewhat. You turn on socials and you're just like, I don't even know what's real anymore. On LinkedIn. Especially LinkedIn. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Here are my 3 wins, and they're just all very perfectly structured sentences. Yeah. And so we're entering an era where because truth is so fabricated, we don't actually know what's true anymore. Yeah. Us as consumers and business owners, we're really leaning into where do we place our trust? And we're going to place our trust in people that we feel energetically aligned to. Yeah. And so when I show up and I'm real, that's only going to attract people that are real. Yeah. It's going to propel people, though, that are intimidated as hell by that level of authenticity. And because they've got such a polished brand, it's all good and well as long as it's sustainable for you and as long as you're enjoying it. Yeah, I think that's the key. Right? I think that's the key, because so many people who are in this world of entrepreneurship or just building their personal brand, they're building a personal brand that they align with somewhat in one context, but outside of that context, they go, well, I feel like an imposter syndrome. I've heard this so many times. I feel like an imposter syndrome because online I'm like this, but I'm also like this and this and this and this outside. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're not showing all of you. All of you. You're just showing this one part of you. Yeah. And it makes sense as to why you feel like an imposter. Yeah.
Because you're actually not allowing yourself to embrace all these other parts of you.
And it's the integration and the congruency of self.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Yeah.
freaking love that word, integration.
Yeah. It's like, are you integrating every part of your life? Because
Yeah.
we, especially LinkedIn, we're like, it's a professional platform and it's B2B. I'll tell you now, my most viral and engaged posts on there are the other pillars of my life. And what I mean by that is when I showed the community that I ran a marathon. That's technically got nothing to do with business. However, it shows character, it shows depth, it showed my personality, it showed my hobbies, it also showed discipline that then is transferable into business.
Yeah.
And it was one of the biggest posts because I still managed to tie it in with the traits of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The fact that I ran a marathon, you know, only 1% of the world has ever ran it. It's people say, oh, people that run a marathon will always tell you that they ran a marathon, and I did that just now. Yeah, I did. Just found a way to weave that in. But right, but it's like you share it. It's like also if you're vegan, people know you're vegan. It's like unsolicited. But that was one of my best posts online, babe. You know.
Yeah. I love that so much. I also think some people can take it a bit too far when it comes to like sometimes you read the post about like someone proposing and then it somehow ties into their
business.
I'm like, what?
Had a baby. Here are the 5 lessons that I learned.
I'm like, what?
You're like, stop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think you touch on it so perfectly. There is a balance and it's energy. It's energy because people can tell when it is fabricated versus when like you're truly fully embodying, integrating, and then on a deeper level, which I think a lot of brands and businesses don't even realize, it's like understanding the why behind what you're doing. And so then it doesn't matter what it is that you're actually doing it, that theme and that foundation is consistent.
Yep.
But people like don't do that extra depth of understanding the ultimate why.
Because the depth is hard, Steph.
100%.
It's the hardest work and the greatest work and the deepest work that any human will ever do. It's why we need mentors and coaches in personal and professional development to get us to really the core of why we're here and what we do and the intention. But that is the hardest work. It's why 99% of the world don't do it.
Yeah.
They're okay with the day-to-day and the mundane and the monotonous because that's the facade of living, you know, Netflix I'm not giving hate to Netflix. I love a good Netflix binge. It's how I also watch entertainment and compress at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But when you do that daily and that becomes your routine and identity.
To escape.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you're avoiding those deeper questions.
Yeah.
Because people that have done the work, when you go, what is your why? That's not an intimidating and confronting question.
Yeah.
But for many, it is.
Yeah.
For many, when you ask that, because I asked that and people were like, you're not meant to ask that when in your first kind of
what?
like.
Really?
Yeah.
I always ask that.
Yeah, but that's why we're friends.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Exactly. But because there are we're all living on this earth, but we're all experiencing life and frequency very, very differently.
There was one thing I remember when I sat down having dinner with you and like this honestly changed everything for me because I love the way you think. I love the way that you reframe the situation where I was sitting across dinner and I said to you like, oh, your partner cheated on you. And you guys were so public, like he was on your podcast. You guys were the online couple, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I asked something along the lines of like, how do you still show up with all this raw emotion, with like just still pushing on? Like, isn't there that sense of embarrassment or like you wanting to hide away and you're like, no, why? But you said it with such conviction, and I was like, oh,
because and then it's actually interesting because then it's like, oh, I just kind of maybe projected how I might have reacted or felt if that happened to me, right? It's like because you're like, oh, wouldn't you be embarrassed? It's actually a reflection of you
Me.
might have been embarrassed.
Yeah.
Or if that happened to you, you wouldn't know how to deal with things.
Yeah.
But I remember the conversation because a lot of people do ask, or they were like giving me a lot of sympathy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a high value woman.
Yes.
So I actually have nothing to hide or escape. And
Yeah.
I know I'm a good person. And that relationship actually taught me a lot. And I'm so grateful for that relationship because without that relationship, I wouldn't have realized how great I am as a partner. That was something that I really learned through that is in I gave it my all. I was all in, as in I merged finances, I merged businesses. You know, there was a lot of things that I learned from it, but it actually was like Mel Yu is capable of really being a pillar of support for a partner. And if I could do that for the wrong person, imagine, and this was before I met Corey, imagine what I could do with the right person. And now that that right person's come along and I've entered this other relationship, oh my God, I'm so thankful and so grateful.
You guys are so
because we're the best. Yeah, we're the
You
best.
are the
We're
best. Yeah. And looking back now and reflecting, I asked that to you because at that time, and even like before that, because I remember growing up, my mum, you know, me being very outspoken and loud and bold and all of these things, you know, I'd always wear like black and just these things. And my mum's like, Steph, you're an Asian woman. Like, men don't like this. You know, men don't like someone who's so loud and so opinionated and like so dominant. You're so dominant. You need to be more submissive.
Yeah.
You need
Be
to
less.
be less.
Yeah.
And so, and she always said to me, I know I'm not trying to throw her on the bus. She loves me. But I think because that was all she knew. And she was like, a man is never going to accept this because this is too much. So I always grew up thinking there would not be that person for me. And so then I would go full in on my career and just like the business, the relationship would never be something that I would deserve or have. And so I think when I asked you that question, it brought up a lot of things for me because I'm like, far out, like you want to show up as a powerhouse, but then you've also put all this trust into this person and they've completely fucked you over. And, you know, like that was a lot of the projection that I was putting through and not realizing that as well. But you being the powerhouse that you are, was that ever a limitation in your life? Despite you being in relationships and stuff. Because even though I had been in relationships, there was always a part of me where I was like, I don't think, maybe I'll settle for this because I know I'm never going to get any better because no one will ever fully accept who I am.
Yeah. I think as a powerhouse woman or what's seen in the market as an alpha female, I actually do think that the pool of dating is genuinely harder because a male needs to feel like they're the provider. They need to feel in their masculine. And so women like us, we do have a smaller pool because we're not as willing to accept anyone. And we do probably have a higher amount of non-negotiables. This is just the reality. But I think my mindset was always an alpha female needs an alpha male. And they're out there. They're definitely harder to find. But when you do find them, that journey is really rewarding and really, really fruitful. And so I've had in my life heaps of people tell me that I'm too much or I'm very masculine or I'm very dominating and certain things. And that is kind of my default. Like I have a quite bold personality and vice versa. But at the same time, that also attracts everything that I've built today. There's a level of magnetism to the way that I show up in rooms and online or at my events. And it will repel people that think that that's too much, and that's okay. Like it would be very vanilla and very boring if we were for everyone.
Yeah.
And they say there's a quote that says a friend to all is a friend to none, right? Because if you're just there for everyone, you would rather be liked than be respected. And that's just not kind of in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. And going then back to this beautiful relationship that you have with Corey, like I just love the whole relationship because you guys are truly individual. You guys are who you are. And then together, it's like you guys amplify each other even more.
Yeah.
And like what you said before about integrating finances with your previous partner, obviously that didn't work out and all that. I think a lot of people have limitations as to whether that's even possible, you know, to have a partner that is on the same wavelength as you, that's going to inspire, that's going to amplify those things. Like for you now being in such a healthy and beautiful relationship, and for all the people out there who are listening who feel like they're not there yet, they haven't found that person, what would you say to them?
I would say you have to meet yourself
Yeah.
where you are as well. And so how I attracted a partner that is so like me, so similar in core values, business trajectory, business acumen, family values, all of those things is because I also looked within and I made it very clear that if I want to attract that, am I also being the partner that is open to that? Like, because otherwise you will miss the opportunity for those people coming along. Say you want all these. You want a family man, you want a man that provides, someone that is stable, consistent, safe for your nervous system, all of those things. And then say you go out to the bar and you're drinking yourself stupid with the girlfriends, it's fine. But is that person that you've just asked for wanting that in a partner? And that's something that I think it's, all men, all females, it's like they're all the same, blah, blah, blah. It's like you're generalizing things to the point that you're almost self-fulfilling your own prophecy. And for me, from my past relationship to this relationship, again, being very open, I was completely celibate and I did not date. And it was about 9 months. And the next person that I dated, I knew I was dating to find my husband because that was kind of what was happening in the previous relationship as well.
Yeah.
Although that didn't happen, what we mentioned is it didn't change what I wanted and what I desired and the person that I wanted to be monogamous with. And so staying true to me, doing the healing, doing the inner work. I went through a whole phase of date yourself instead and going out and eating by myself. And I'm telling you, like, I got dressed up, I'd wear a cute outfit, I'd go have a fine dining restaurant and have a 3-course meal by myself and enjoy my own company. And so that was something I was heroing for a while. And lo and behold, you just, never know who's watching and never know who's like kind of been there through like observing, and energetically they can also feel when someone is like ready to potentially date and open up. And so because I was so vulnerable and true online, Corey actually saw all of that. He saw the messy breakup because we were connected on Instagram like a year before, and it was connected purely from a mutual business respect. You know, he's in events, I'm in events, he runs festivals, I run corporate events. And so it was always, and we were both in previous relationships, so there was this underlying respect at all times from a professional level. And then as he saw me navigate this pretty terrible breakup, it wasn't until he energetically also felt like, I feel like I could maybe like ask her out and this is a thing. And I was so oblivious to it because when I'm like business focused, everything is very professional. I'm not flirty in any way. But when he kind of was like, well, I'm asking you out on a date and it's not a meeting, I was like, that message to the girl chat being like, what? And it was just one date, and our first date went for 9.5 hours. Yeah.
What?
And so, yeah, that was that.
Yeah. And the effort that he put into your birthday as well. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This guy booked out, if you haven't seen the stories, like this man booked out a hotel. He had them do this Harry Potter theme because Mel loves Harry Potter. He went to the restaurant. They did some Harry Potter themed
He knows
how to run an event.
Yeah, he knows how to create unique experiences and special moments, just super special. And that's the thing. It's like when you're willing to wait for that person and you're also like not settling, you're just enjoying your life and just building the best version of you, that person will come along because they're magnetized by you being that top tier, top shelf person, and you know it. And for me, I was walking around convicted in myself. And that naturally brings in a man that is also convicted in themselves. The thing that I love most about Corey and I's relationship is that we are very separate. During the day, we barely speak in that sense because he's running an empire. He's got like 30 staff, building a multi-billion-dollar event tech company. And I've also got mine that's also got its own. I travel so much and everyone's like, oh, why doesn't Corey like come with you. Why would he come with me?
Yeah.
Like, it's business. It's like a trip.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe we'll integrate as well and like do some events together. But right now, we're really loving that we both have our separate empires. And when we come in together, it just amplifies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that also, I speak to a lot of men, women, where that can also be taken to the extreme as well, where they're convicted, but they're like, well, I deserve this, but it's coming from that place of ego.
Sounds like ego and entitlement.
How do you balance that? How would that person balance that, but identify that it's coming from that place of ego rather than just this like full convicted authenticity?
Yeah. I think it's communication. And it's also the moment that you bring in a relationship, there are levels of compromise and understanding that it's two humans entering a world together, but both came from separate values, separate family upbringing, separate experiences, separate friendship groups. Everything was really, really separate. And so as you're learning to integrate, the number one thing when you ask any relationship guru or the people that have been married for 50, 60, 70 years is this constant thread of communication, open lines of communication, and communicating without judgment or an intent to be heard. It's really like I'm communicating so I can listen.
Yeah.
So I can receive. I find a lot of people when we're like, I demand this or I think this, it's like, okay, but where is the line where you're opening up that warmth and communication? Because if you're on the attack, guess what happens in language? The person's already going to be on defense.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? But why, when we open with why rather than I feel, even just things like that I learned in psychology, the moment you go, why didn't you take the bins out? It's an instant attack where someone naturally is going to feel like I need to be in defense.
But that's even applicable to business.
Absolutely.
Because so like, you know, with me starting my own business, going out there, putting myself out there, having conversations, putting proposals in, proposals being rejected, you know, all of that, it requires a level of resilience, but it also requires a level of like, you're not coming from a place of ego. Yes, you can easily be like, okay, well, this person rejected me, so they're not the right person for me. Whoever wants to be in my orbit, whoever wants to work with me, you know, they'll be the right.
FU.
Big FU. And I think also a lot of new entrepreneurs or people who start businesses can also fall into that trap as well. Yep. And that's why I always say to my clients, like, it's so applicable. How you view business, how you do relationships. It's how you do the relationship with yourself. It's how you, and that quote, like, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Agree.
And so the same thing in business, where it's two brands or it's two people working very differently, coming together and having to communicate what that is, to find common ground, but to then innovate and grow and be creative. Like, everything you just said there is applicable to business as well.
And the number one thing that I've learned in business, and I wasn't always like this, is you can't take things personally. You really can't. Business does not care about your personal values, your personal emotions, your personal anything. It cares about cash flow. It cares about profit. And it does care about relationships. Obviously, you need relationships for it to be sustainable, but it's not personal. And that's something that I've really had to learn, because
how do you distinguish that?
But when you go, oh, that client rejected me or that person said no, and you make it about you going, oh, well, that person's not meant to be in my orbit and they can, you know, go and find someone else, you've just missed a really good opportunity to learn. And a real life example with this is we just finished a Singapore mastermind, and I'll keep it confidential, but I will explain the case study of it. We did a Singapore mastermind. It was my first time overseas selling on stage to many people, and we joined them in for an intensive. And the program was called Brand Accelerator. It was a Brand Accelerator package, and I coached people live in this 4 weeks. 9 out of 10 people gave us a 5-star review. And one person said, I'm really sorry, I can't give the 5-star review because it felt like it was a brand Kickstarter rather than a brand accelerator. And now there are versions of me that would have gone, well, F you, because I served. I know how much I served. I know how much I poured into this program, And I could have gone down this vortex of forgetting the 9 positives and just feeding into this one. And then I put it through chat. I put the feedback through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because I use it to reflect and process deeper my ideas and making sure that I don't take everything personally. So I said, give me a really good constructive like feedback with this feedback and how I can better myself. And Chat actually said, this is not a negative criticism. This is a direction, a redirection so that you can do better. And I loved that reframe because there were parts of me instantly, of course I'm going to react when someone goes, I can't give you a 5-star review because I felt some type of way. But then I would have missed the golden nugget of going, you know what? Maybe at some elements it was a brand Kickstarter because the clients in there, that's what they needed. They weren't as branded as this particular individual. And so for me, it's a great opportunity to go, maybe I could have better qualifying questions into my masterminds so that I can have almost a Kickstarter tier and an accelerator tier so I can meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
But without self-awareness, without removing the personal and the emotion, I would not have been able to see that feedback and really taken aboard that feedback.
Yeah.
And that just happened this week.
So when you actually say business doesn't care about personal, it's not about not bringing your personal values and all of that into what you do, because that's ultimately going to attract your business or your friends or your community or whoever to you. But it's about being able to see the thing for what it is rather than letting your ego or your self-pride get in the way of
progress. And it's also progress.
Yeah.
And we're in business to deliver outcomes. Exactly what you kind of mentioned. When I said business isn't personal, it's because businesses are created to solve a problem and for your business to be the solution.
Yeah.
That's not emotional. That's a result-driven outcome. This studio, if it like, it doesn't care about, I don't know what the directors of this business were doing outside of this. We needed to film a podcast. We hire the podcast. They deliver a video asset. That is an outcome.
Yeah.
That's not personal.
Yeah.
But you choose people, going back to brand, you choose people because of the personal. You choose people because we like working with them. Yeah. I choose this podcast because I like Steph and I like the conversation. And then that's kind of like the dance between both.
Yeah, because I think it's really good to articulate that, because also when I have tried to explain that to some people, they go, I know that business is not personal. This is business. Business is business. So, but then that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, business is not personal. It's not personal in the way that you receive the feedback or the situation.
But it doesn't mean it's not human.
100%. And another thing that Chen, actually, your coach, my coach, actually told me, which has changed a lot of the way that I see these things, where I'm putting myself out there and I'm like getting rejected. He goes, it's not about the outcome being a no, but why wasn't it a yes? And I really like that, because you're going, okay, it's not actually, it's not a no. It's not people saying that they don't want to work with you now, even though that might be the message, but it's going, well, what could have been different so that it could be a yes?
Yeah.
But then also, how do you not stay stuck in that overthinking mode for so long?
You get the feedback and then you move the fuck on, babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the number one thing is, it's not saying that you can't be deflated, you can't feel any certain way, but it's you feel the emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. So you process the emotion and then you get up and you do it again the next day. So it is a dance between, you don't make it about you. It's one client, it's one no, it's one feedback, and you get an opportunity to get the data and to learn and to improve.
Yeah.
But yeah, because a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in the wallowing.
Yes.
I wallow, I give myself like an hour. Some days I call Corey or I go, today's not it. It's just not my day. So I'm going to sleep on it. But then my bounce back rate is, but when I wake up tomorrow and my feet hit the floor, she's going again with a different mindset, a different attitude. I don't know if you can teach that. Sometimes I feel like that is very in my character. Is like, I just won't give up. I will like outwork you. Very David Goggins. But yeah, like I've got a real tenacity, and that comes back to the purpose, and the thread is, we're here for such a short, minute amount of time, Steph. Like, yeah, with the nanobots and everything coming in, maybe we'll live to 150, but we're going to die.
Yeah.
Our mortality is guaranteed. So, like, let's just not waste it. Yeah.
Two really crucial things there. The first is the energy in motion, which a lot of people get stuck on. They like reflecting and analyzing all that. People can often think that is you doing something, but then it's actually then going back out there and actually then re-putting, posting that thing on the social, relaunching that mastermind. That is actually the action.
Yep.
The thing that is scary, that is risky, that you're nervous about is the actual action you need to take, not the work prior or before that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, which I've mentioned in a previous episode, where I left my parents' business, and like, long story short, I quit my full-time job, then thought, let me go work for my parents. I was there for 2 months and, introduced everyone to me and me working there. And I thought, this is part of my identity. This is my brand now. 2 months in, left. It didn't work out. And I remember sending you this voice message. And, oh, my God, if I listened back, it was like depresso central. And I remember you just calling me going, babe, I hear you. You're wallowing. You need to snap out of it. But I love that.
Yeah. I think you got to have people in your life that can give that kind candor.
Yeah.
You have to have people in your life that can be kind and sweet and hold you in that space so that you know that you're not judged and it is safe to explore those emotions. But then it's like, okay, and now it's also my responsibility to bring you back out of the depths of that gloom because it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And again, look at you now.
Yeah.
Look at you now. Like, we went down that path. We explored working with your parents. That wasn't like you didn't give that a swing.
Yeah.
But the values weren't aligned. They wanted to do things a certain way. You wanted to bring innovation and modernity to the business, and they're just not ready.
Yeah.
And so you did the best thing that you could, which is save the relationship because they're your parents.
Yeah.
And create this beast of a machine that you've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like I said to you, like, that literally changed the trajectory of my life. So thank you so much for that. I am forever grateful. I think the last few questions, I'll do one last question and then the very, very last question.
I'll do one last question with another follow-up of a last question. That's so
Two questions. If the universe put you through everything that you've been through just to teach one lesson, God, I think you have so many gems, so there's a lot of lessons.
Well,
but what do you think that lesson was?
To love and be loved in return. Every single hardship, struggle, challenge, adversity that I'd gone through reminded me to what is my capacity to love in this moment when everything is really hard, and also to receive love. True gratitude and graciousness is when you are going through a hard time, is can you pour that love back into your own cup, but also are you willing to receive the help from others, because there is so much love to go around. For example, even just that example there where you said you were wallowing and you're in the depths of your despair, but are you open to receiving a phone call from someone that is giving you love? And I think that's just the core of why I'm here.
I love that so much. And then lastly, because this podcast is called Master of Achievement, and the reason why I'm so obsessed with achievement is it can mean such a different thing for each individual person, and achievement is such a journey. So what does achievement mean to you? And how has this transformed over time? Like, what was it? What is it now? And what is it going to be for you?
The words that come to mind for me, achievement used to be validation. Used to be.
Yep.
My older 20-year-old self was, the more that I achieve, the more that I will receive praise and love, and really it boosted my ego. And that came from not having recognition from my family. Like, dad was probably the main one, that just Asian fathers, man.
Yeah, I don't think dad's told me he's loved me for 30 years.
Yeah. My dad's
but
gone
he cuts
now,
me my fruit and makes dinner for me every night.
Exactly. But if you were like, love you, dad, he's like, You're like, sweet.
Or you buy him a birthday gift and he goes, I don't actually need you to buy me anything. I just need you to be a good daughter. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna cry now.
Yes. We love you, fathers of the world, but my gosh, you guys, like, and that's just where they've come from, right?
Yeah.
I still remember, like, I'd have this big media presentation. I was on Channel 7 on TV, and my dad was like, why do they want you on TV? Like it still rings to this day. And I'm like, thanks. So yeah, achievement used to be validation.
For Asian parents.
Shout out to them all if you can relate. Or immigrant parents, probably WOG parents as well, I'm sure would be similar. And then most recently, achievement has meant progress.
Yeah.
For as long as that I'm achieving, it feels like that I'm progressing and it feels that I'm living that always onto sort of like the next milestone or the next goal. And then as you kind of ask that question, I actually think I'm now entering the other era of my life where achievement for me is fulfilling.
Yeah.
So it's fulfillment. It's actually being able to be in a state of presence and really acknowledging that there are versions of us that would be like, what? What? We're on a podcast? You know what I mean? Like, what? We're creating these experiences. What? You speak in international shores? Like, I've already achieved so much and we miss the moment if I keep going, no, achievement is progress. I got to keep progressing. You've missed this beautiful moment to just be and to acknowledge and to feel fulfilled.
You do that so well, I have to say. Like
Thank
your
you.
ability to freaking, like, guys, she's got a mastermind on a private jet in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? But then, like, you have these audacious goals, but then you do such a good job at also being like, man, this is my life. Like, every single day I get to curate and live this beautiful life.
Yeah, and that groundedness is what gets me through. So 100%, yes, online, I like even more so, I think people go, whoa, powerhouse, jet, this, that, luxury, everything. And then I'll post a photo with my grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because really, don't mistaken that I can go out and achieve and do all these things, but I'm already here and I've already arrived.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Oh my God.
Thank
you so much for being on this podcast. You're
I'm
just
so glad we
incredible.
made it happen. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
After many, many months.
Thanks for having me, Steph. It's always a pleasure.